Oh, ours is always, our, what they got such always full sauce. That's what they buy a couple and that was them. 15 guys on the job, I mean, wow, all we present that job, get a hand mix full sauce. $7 back then, or only $5 a piece. $5. My favorite guy to walk across the plant. Yeah. Battery, quarter band for every. Full sauce. All in. Needed one? Yeah, to keep those memories full. No memories. Hey, little, so sharing making that, so. You know, so at some point. How's it going? It's going, how you going? Whatever. Good. Someone's gonna have to look at.
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, you got it?
Yeah, we have it.
Oh, perfect.
Mark.
This is the extra.
The original, yes.
I can get them
Yeah.
right into business and, we'll have Stuart Ryan introduce Global Common Ventures.
We have Bob Foxen, from Global Common Ventures. Is that the correct order for you? Thank you. And he's brought Dale Heminger, who some of you might know already, with him. And they are going to talk about a project they are doing in the town of Seneca, which is with a digester.
Thank you.
You know, I occasionally watch a Shark Tank, so I feel just a little bit like Shark Tank right now, right? So not quite as much at risk, so Bob is still the lead on this, but I've had the pleasure of, working with Bob for almost 2 years, as we started to sort out whether this was, something we could look at in this county. And I'm pleased to say that, I know Doug Young in Cayuga County quite well. It's one of the 3 digesters that Bob will share that he has up and running, that he converted that. That was an old school electric producing digester that's now RNG. And Doug is someone I've known pretty much my entire adult life, and Bob and he have a relationship going back over 20 years. So that was very reassuring to me. And Deb and I were just sharing stories on the way in about the number of salespeople we turn away at the door, as farmers, because it's a revolving door. So, so thanks.
Okay, well, thank you all for having me. As Dale mentioned, we have 3 of these projects operating now. We have 3 others that will be up and running in the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter of this year, spread pretty much around the state. So anyway, thank you very much for having us. And I've had the pleasure of getting to know Dale a little bit and met with Suzanne and Ryan a couple of times. And I'm glad to have their support for the project. So what I wanted to do is take a few minutes today to go through who we are, overview of the project, the dairies that are participating. One unique thing about this project is the aggregation of actually 10 different dairies. All the other projects that we're doing, and I think most of the projects in New York State are really just, isolated dairy farms. They're not multiple farms. There's a number of reasons we did it this way. I was going to explain where the project site is, how we're going to get the dairy manure from the dairies to the project and vice versa. A little bit about the project design and where we are and what we're doing next. So, Jessica, we'll go on the next one. So this is the team. So that,
All right.
I'm going to
There you go, right there, Bob. You're sorry. Yeah, there you go.
There we go. Global Common Ventures, we're a private development and engineering company. Partner and I are both PEs in New York State. We really do the upfront work on these projects, hold the agreements together, get the permits identified, do the project design, financial analysis, and so on. We have a Danish engineering firm that we work closely with, we've worked with for a long time, called Renew Energy. They do the process design work. They've done a lot of these in Europe, and are really, really cutting edge in terms of the design of the projects. And I can talk to you a little bit about some of the intricacies. They seem kind of simple when you look at the nice picture of the digester, but there's a lot kind of going on behind the scenes. Dale is my advisor that kind of keeps me on track and lets me know if I'm getting a little bit off track, and he's really been great to get to know, and really appreciate his help. He's also going to be overseeing or managing the trucking, because I think has a lot of knowledge about the trucking activities and what some of the issues might be associated with that. And then our investment partner is a big Fortune 500 company called UGI. They're based in Pennsylvania. They're a gas company. I was going to say a little like NYSEG, but they're a gas company in Pennsylvania. I'll just say that. And they've been a really good partner to work with. They're a $9 billion company. They provide all the capital. And on our project so far, they've done all the construction work, the detailed engineering design, and they're also doing the operations at the first three projects. It's Spruce Haven Farm. Elvi, by the way, is also in Ontario County. That just started up. I should have mentioned that one. We can go to the next one. Talked a little bit about this. This is kind of who we are. And I mentioned the project, so we can just go to the next one. Just talked a little bit about UGI already. I kind of jumped ahead. Is there anything else I wanted to add? They do own AmeriGas, the propane company. If any of you are familiar with AmeriGas, they do a lot of work in New York State. They're also what's called an ESCO. They supply gas to Cayuga Milk Ingredients, the milk factory processing plant.
That's located right across from Bass Pro Shop, just in Auburn. From the west, the dairy farmers over there worked together and built a $110 million plant, and it started up in 2015. And to their credit, I believe it's more than doubling right now. The investment's more than doubling. It's been unbelievable because previous to just here recently, and Bob will share a little more, New York had lost milk processing as the world evolved in my entire career. And now it's kind of full circle. The processes are all coming back to New York because we get natural rainfall, and 60% of the nation's population is within a 8 or 10 hour truck ride from here. So it's kind of fun to be in New York again as a farmer that watched, particularly dairy markets, in my case, processing vegetable markets, lead my entire career. It was very exciting, and then this ties into all that.
Go to the next slide, please. So these are the list of the existing projects and the status. Spruce Haven, Elvi, I mentioned. You probably see if you drive near Elvi, you can see the digester tank kind of off in the distance. We're using the same tank. You'll see some more pictures of that in a minute. And then the other three coming online now are Bergen, Glenview, and New Hope Farm. So this is kind of a one-page overview of this project. We have MSAs, manure supply agreements, signed with 10 of the local dairies, over 10,000 cows. We have a really, I think, ideal site on corner of Seneca Castle Road and Route 5 and 20. It's an 8 acre and a 2 acre parcel, totaling just a little under 10 acres. There's a NYSEG pipeline that runs on 5 and 20 and then cuts up Seneca Castle, so we can kind of access that pipeline from either side. We haven't decided that yet. And as I mentioned, Dale or Dale are going to help coordinate the trucking. I think the project has a lot of benefits. It produces, this won't be that much, I say 20 million BTUs an hour, roughly a little more than that, which is equivalent to the use of about 1,600 average homes. So it's quite a bit of gas. Significant reduction of greenhouse gases, primarily methane emissions from dairy lagoons that will be basically alleviated we're gonna essentially capture that methane in a digester and make energy out of it. There's a substantial reduction in odors, that'll occur, because we're gonna convert that manure into a digestate, where a lot of the more odorous organics have been removed. I wouldn't say it's odor-free, but it's substantially less odor than the dairy manure would be. Because of the characteristics of the digestate, the nutrients are more bioavailable, so there's gonna be more of those nutrients going into the plants and less running off potentially into streams or groundwater. And the other thing I like about it is it keeps open space for the region, assures the dairies are going to remain viable. A lot of the, Dale mentioned Tiger Milk Ingredients and Fairlife. A lot of these customers for dairies are requiring that they have digesters to reduce their quote-unquote carbon footprint. And so this project will help them do that, and therefore, because it helps the dairies, helps them with their customers, it helps make sure they're viable for the longer term. So there's kind of a immediate benefit with, you know, the fuel supply, but there's a longer term benefit as well that I think is really important.
Real quick, I'm sure you all remember the news report. Fairlife is building a $650 million plant in Webster. Huge, major investment. Demand for milk in New York State went from a slightly declining point in my entire career to that and 2 or 3 other projects that Deb knows a lot about as well. That it's at a recent meeting I was at in California, the global dairy expert for Rabobank referenced New York State as the center of the universe this year. It's been a long haul, hasn't it, to watch our milk markets not want to be here, and now they do. So it's a very exciting time.
And then finally down at the bottom there, we'll have 4 full-time jobs at the facility. In addition, there'll be jobs to do trucking back and forth. I don't have an exact number on that, but we can get you that.
Yeah. One thing I'd like to share, and Deb would really have some input on this. We as an industry probably don't do a good enough job of trying to have our economic impact out there. But I look at the investment we've made in our dairy and the vendors that are out of our business and the dollars that get generated and stay right here. I'm pretty darn proud. Agriculture turns a lot of dollars quietly.
This is a list of the dairy farms that are participating. You probably know many of them, or most of them: Purdy, Minns, Ivy Lakes, Hemdale, Hilton's, Maple Lawn, Reedland, Half Dutch, Gorham, and Lakeland. And we have 1 or 2 others we're still talking with. So, but this is the current list at this point. And then next just shows a map of where they all are. So this is the project site in yellow, and those are the dairies. And one statistic Dale came up with, which was, I thought, really helpful, 75% of the manure is within 6 miles of our project site. So there's only a few, or relatively small quantity of the manure that's coming from more of the more outlying farms. I think the furthest farm away,
Stuff in Alloway. So.
yeah, I think it's about 15 miles.
Yeah.
So it'll give you a sense of where they're all located.
And I don't want to speak for Bob, but there's some possibility we'll get enough cows closer. And right now it's a preliminary agreement we have. But the exciting thing is if anything, we're going to be in that position. We've got another dairy that's just started to talk to him last a couple.
Go ahead, Justin. So I mentioned a little bit about the project site. I was going to just show you a little more there. And by the way, if I'm going too fast or too slow, just tell me to speed up or slow down, whatever is appropriate. So I mentioned at your site, one nice thing about the site, it has dual access. We can access it from 5 and 20, or we can access it from Seneca Castle Road, and I'll show you a map showing that. We have an option executed for the site. One of the things I liked about the site is, and I understand the future of the landfill has been back and forth on that, but it is a waste management area, so we're not disturbing a whole new area with another waste site. And And that was one of the things I liked about it. And also the 5 and 20 is a fairly major road. We're not going to have to, it's going to minimize at least the amount of trucking on the smaller roads. Mentioned we have a nice egg pipeline there, 75% of the manure. And I've been very pleased that Ryan and Drew Wickham have been very helpful and supportive. And that's one of the things you really look for in a site is you want a community that's going to be on your side and not going to be stepping on people's toes. Okay, let's see, I can do the next one. So here's just a parcel map. So our site is this one and this one here, sites, I should say. And there is a stream over here, but we'll be able to stay, 100 feet from that stream. And there's a turn in from the east that we used to go in, and then there's turn in from this side over here. So coming from the west, there's a left turn to go up Seneca Castle and turn in from Seneca Castle. So we'll have two-way, and you'll see that in a second, I think. Oh, this may be too much detail, but I'll do it quickly. So we have what's called thermophilic digestion. We have a gas, so the manure comes into this digestion system, basically takes the organics from that material, it breaks down under low oxygen conditions, creates a biogas. The biogas then gets upgraded to pipeline quality. There's several steps along the way to convert that biogas to pipeline quality natural gas. Some of the intricate things really relate to heat recovery. We recover waste heat from the digestate and then preheat the incoming manure. We take waste heat from the gas upgrading system to also help heat the incoming manure. So that it seems like a simple process, but there's a lot of complexity. And really that's coming from the Danish and European design, a lot of energy efficiency in the project. We're making about 3 times as much energy as we use. Sometimes people say, like in ethanol business, people would say, oh my gosh, they're using more energy than they're making. And here, it's about a 3-to-1 ratio with the design that we have. I'll show you a picture on there. We have a system designed to minimize the odors during the transfer of the liquids. So you'll see that. And we have a Danish design also on the trucks. I'll show you the boom in a minute. You can go ahead. This is preliminary, I'll call it, a rendering of how the project would be laid out. So here's 5 and 20 in Seneca Castle. So you can see they would come in either way, and I'll show you what the drop off looks like in a minute. What's not here right now is a stormwater pond. We'll have to have a stormwater retention pond. We're kind of in the process of figuring out. We're probably going to have to move this a little bit out to create space for that. You can go ahead. Oh, this is the currently proposed truck or liquid drop-off and pickup. So the truck has a boom, which I'll show you. It'll go into one of the, I don't know if you can see these standpipes here. They'll put the manure into one of the standpipes, and it'll move the boom over to the other one, and it has a vacuum pump on it. It'll suck the digestate out from the other standpipe and then bring it back to the dairy farm lagoon. But you'll see how this works in a second. That's just another image from Seneca Castle Road, a little north of the site. This is just a 3D rendering of the trailer. On the top is this boom. It's operated from sitting inside the cab of the truck, so the driver doesn't have to get out. And it will swing around, and I'll show you the picture of that in a second. So this is a picture of one of the European facilities, and they have these 2 standpipes. So let's say he comes in and he's got digestate, or excuse me, let's say he comes in, he has manure, he had just dropped, I took the screenshot, he drops the manure into this first standpipe. I think that took like 4 minutes to do that for 9,000 gallons. And then he takes the boom, moves it from this, here's the boom, moves it from this to this, and he then sucks out the digest tape. They have a really powerful vacuum pump, so the whole truck process takes just a little over 9 minutes. So it's quite amazing.
If I could share, these trailers are expensive. The budget is to buy 2 of these, and we have a great company we think we're gonna hire to pull them and manage that. We also are gonna have the opportunity for the trucks we're currently using at my farm to, as a backup in case one of those trailers went down or something. But we're gonna give ourselves some flexibility there, but this will be the way the majority of the manure would come and go. And we have had Zoom calls with the Europeans and the company Canada that's gonna build these. And there's gonna be one here in the States this summer being demoed. And someone unrelated to our project, or maybe our project put them to the point they said they were gonna do one to demo it. And I'm really excited about this. Bob may not touch on this, but some of the farms have used up all their electrical capacity with your, as these farms have grown, whatever power's there is there. And some of them don't have an easy way of getting more electric. And anyone that's tried to do any construction knows that updating your electric can be a real challenge. So this truck, we don't need to have one more big monster electric motor to load this with because it's loading itself at the farms. That's a big issue at least 3 farms, which is something I wouldn't have thought was coming a year ago, but we've gotten on top of all that. And that's part of the reason we've gone to this, plus it's really the European model. In Europe, it's standard to haul 20 and 30 miles. They're really a generation or a decade ahead of us on all this technology in Denmark.
And that's a great point. The fact that we can now include the areas that probably otherwise couldn't be included because of the lack of adequate electric load for another pump on the site. We can go ahead. Okay, so next step, questions or comments or suggestions that you guys might have. Right now, UGI is in the process of doing due diligence on the project. I will say so far, of all the projects that we've brought to them, they've approved. The market's gotten a little tighter, so there's always new challenges, but I'm pretty optimistic about them going through the due diligence successfully. So assuming that happens, there'll be, I'm saying, roughly 90 to 120 days before their board approves the project. Total capital cost is about plus or minus $40 million, including soft costs and construction costs and so on. And then you're probably looking at 2 to 2.5 years for commercial operation date, primarily because of long lead items, compressors, certain parts of the certain types of equipment that might be at least 18 months out there before they're delivered. So that's the overview, and happy to take questions.
One thing I'll share really quickly is us as individual dairy farms. The one in Newark at Elvi Farms, the main farm is talking about how many cows I am, 1,700. Then they have a satellite farm with 600 or so. And when that got approved and designed 4 or 5 years ago now, that model made sense, just big enough to justify. The pandemic and all this inflation we've had, none of us individually could do these anymore. You almost are saying 5,000 cows is a minimum, and even that could be a stretch.
Yeah.
And the economies of scale of bringing all these farms together keeps us here in Ontario County in this arena. And without a concerted effort like this, individually, our farms couldn't deal with this. Thank you. It's an important thing to me personally.
Anybody have any questions for the global team?
So a couple things. One, you're gonna put natural gas into the pipeline that's there. Seems like the landfill sometimes has trouble putting gas in there. Do they have the capacity to?
So yeah, that's a good question. So there's the nice egg pipeline which runs along the front. The landfill makes electricity with their gas, and then they have excess gas that they flare. So we did look into trying to collaborate with them in some way, so that they would make RNG rather than electricity. There's not enough capacity in that pipeline to take all their gas. They make a lot of gas. I'm not sure exactly how much, but it might be several times what we would make, if not more. There is a National Fuels line, a couple miles from there. It's a high-pressure interstate. If they were to convert to RNG, then they would have to go to that other line.
So the infrastructure there, though, is capable of handling what you've got.
The National Fuels infrastructure is, the National Fuels can take both of us, yes. But the NYSEG line could not take the landfill gas, you know.
Yeah, so they're just producing electricity now, and there's times that they have more gas than they have engines to make electricity. Bob's being very polite, but Bob spent months getting BP to even acknowledge this project was probably gonna get built. BP now controls that gas project. Sadly, it sold, 18 months ago, or this might have been a little more tied together. But they make a lot of gas, and, BP is a multinational, time will tell. But you go on their webpage, and they list Ontario County as an electric and gas producing site. So, but right now, it's all going to electric.
We would really love to have made that work together, but we weren't able to do it. So.
Bob finally got the right people at BP to acknowledge this was going on, and that we were right, there's some great synergies, but, not on our agenda. So if Bob's being played, I'll share that.
We
Kind of held us up for 2 or 3 months. Kind of, the project took a while to get to this stage, because that's what got worked on for about the 3rd quarter of last year.
Questions?
Or your other question? I was gonna say, just the other one is so just out of the logistics, don't get too deep into it, but, so the farmers that are supplying the manure and then getting the digestate back there, how does that work? Do they pay in?
Well, they're gonna get paid, per cow, essentially, so the way we have it set up. So, and then, well, they get paid, let's say per cow or a percent of revenue, whichever's higher. So
There's a financial advantage for them to
Yeah.
be able to join it.
and they're getting the clean digestate back.
Yeah, it sounds like that makes that a much more sustainable, supply chain for you.
It does, and the Cornell, just in the last couple of years, has shown that the nitrogen in the manure that is what makes the odor is ammonia, and that is escaping at the farms now. That's why you smell it. Well, the digestate, that we've captured that methane, and actually the manure that comes back has more usable nitrogen at a plant-based usable level than raw manure. And I'm excited about that. Agronomy is my first love.
Two questions. You said 5,000 cows is kind of the minimum target. What's the capacity? Like how many cows could potentially be?
Oh, there's not really a limit. I was actually at the plant in, Denmark about 3 months ago. And, this plant, you saw we have 2.5 million gallon tanks. The plant I just left, has, 12 2.5 million gallon tanks. They're coming from like 50 miles. Now they're bringing in food waste. They're bringing food waste from 200 miles. I mean, the scale that they're operating out there is just kind of would blow your mind. So, for this area, I think, let's say we drew a 20-mile radius, we could probably, the pipeline isn't straight, but 15,000 cows, something like that.
I mean, I have challenged them right along to be thinking that we'll need a 3rd tank within 5 years. That's a fun problem.
We have space for that.
Fun problem.
Yeah.
You brought up that pipeline again. I'm a little concerned. I mean, how much capacity can NYSEG take? Not NYSEG, the one at the site. Can
Yes,
that
that
take?
is it too.
Is it NYSEG?
Yes, it is.
How much can they take? I don't want to see this get built and then they shut it, the
No,
valve off.
that's a great
Yeah,
concern.
so we spent a lot of time on that one. Initially, they thought they didn't have enough capacity. And, we probably spent 6 months going back and forth with NYSEG, if not more, maybe even a year. And, they've been able to tweak their system a little bit, if you will. The issue isn't capacity, it's in the warm weather, nobody uses much gas. So if we put 20 million BTUs an hour into the pipeline, and nobody's using gas to heat their homes, where's that going to go? There's no place to go. So, but there are some industrial users connected down in Geneva to the same system that are more or less year-round steady state users. So they have run their internal models and got back to us to get us comfortable. Now, if the pipeline was, if the demand were too limited in the summer, there is about a $3 million, what they call reinforcement up on Route 4 that they could make. That would add another roughly almost 10 million BTUs an hour to the demand for the part of the system. So we're comfortable that that the demand is adequate for what we have, and if necessary, we'd have to pay for the reinforcement. We could do that. So, but that's one of the key questions. And we thought actually at one point we were going to probably have to go into the National Fuels Pipeline, but that's several million. That's probably $5-6 million to connect to a high pressure line.
That's 3 miles west of us. That's a line that went in 15 years ago, that went right down through, Eloquent and, right to Hall. We spent quite a bit of time looking at that, and that's what site's a little closer to that. That's a great point, Mark. Right now, this is gonna put NYSEG's line just about at its capacity. But those upgrades in Geneva, or in a perfect world, we get the right industry that builds nearby, wants to brag they're using RNG from a green footprint, point, that'd be really fun.
Let's get your thing first, all right?
A lot of these projects have to compressing gas and trucking the compressed gas to an injection point 5, 10, 50 miles away. Maybe not 50, but 30 miles away. Luckily, we didn't have to do that. That's one of the great things about the site, really.
I think Guardian Glass and their ovens are up 24/7.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, if you don't have any other questions, we're looking for a motion to hold public hearing. Oh, a motion from Dave, second by Mark. Any further discussion?
I think maybe Deb should abstain.
About a minute, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Thank you both.
Thanks very much.
Thanks, Ed.
So we'll excuse ourselves. Thank you. Thank you for letting us go.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you guys.
All right, on to Irish Mafia Brewing.
Bye.
From Sewer, Ryan.
Don't walk on the farm and start walking around. I gave him a hard time, I think this is true,
A lot, faster, get you guys back on track. My name is Mark Mansfield, I own the Irish Mafia Brewing Company, it's in Bloomfield. Raise a hand if anybody been to Bloomfield. No, Bloomfield, okay, small town. So my background, just a really quick, I spent 28 years as the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for a company called Corsair, which was right here in Canandaigua. We did a lot of stadium and arena, food and beverage, carts, kiosks, so kind of just about every stadium in the country, which is, I guess some people would say that's pretty cool. For me, it was cool for a while, and then all that traveling and the frequent flyer miles and the hotel stays turned me. I was jaded. So I started a brewery. My brother owns Three Brothers Winery and Warhorse Brewing up in Geneva. And so I decided to dive into that business. So again, this might be more of a, not, maybe half about what I'm trying to do, and then half about what I'm trying to do for Bloomfield. So I grew up in Bloomfield, went to school in Bloomfield, graduated from Bloomfield. I have a kind of a soft spot in my heart for Bloomfield. And that's one of the reasons I picked the location that I picked is because I really do think that Bloomfield has a lot to offer. Now, having said that, so I'm 54, and that Bloomfield looks very similar from the day I was born. There has not been a whole lot of economic growth. You know, we've lost a few businesses, we've gained a couple of businesses. There's really not, you know, a whole lot of development happening in Bloomfield. So myself and a couple other folks started this grassroots committee, or it's called Grow Bloomfield, right? So we are basically, we coordinate and facilitate ongoing discussions with the town of Bloomfield. You know, and our primary goal is to grow it. We really do want to, I just think there's so much Bloomfield has to offer that, you know, people don't really understand it or see it, and maybe they just haven't been there, but, you know, the student population back in '76, we had 1538. Now we're less than 830. So, you know, Honeoye and Naples, very similar. We see a trend here. You head out to some of these southern communities. You know, there's just not a whole lot of housing. And, you know, we have a plaza in Bloomfield. It's got one store in it. It used to have 4. So it's not really, you know, trending in the direction that I was hoping and a lot of community members hoping. So that's why we started this Grow Bloomfield committee, and, you know, which kind of leads me into what I'm actually trying to do, which is testing. So one of the reasons I moved and bought the place that I did was because the Irish Mafia is on one of the busier intersections in all of Ontario County. We are roughly 6 miles away from the lake. We're 9 miles away from Bristol Mountain. And we actually get 3 seasons, where most people, even the folks here in Canandaigua and, you know, Rochester and Geneva, we are fortunate in you know, we get the summer, which is great. Everybody's visiting from out of town, coming to the lake. We actually get, and I didn't know this was a thing, but we get leaf peepers. I didn't even know that was a thing when I bought this. But we get a whole 45 days that takes us right up till November 1st, which is people coming to this area to look at leaves. Didn't think that was a thing, but it really is. And then we get, you know, a month and a half, 2 months of skiing, typically. Not this year maybe, but typically we do. So that's kind of the reason that I picked the area that I picked to build this brewery. So when I bought this place in the beginning, pretty rundown, sat vacant, as you know, a lot of other buildings in the area have. I pretty much remodeled. I took out every single wall that was in the place. The kitchen was a shambles. I, you know, refurbished the kitchen, new siding, put the patio on. Excuse me. And kind of see that the direction we went with this, you know, we really reimagined the whole building, and we changed it. So my problem when I started the building was, the problem is I really wanted to brew my beer in this building. That's impossible because this area right here is about 10 feet by 25 feet. You can't brew a whole lot of beer in 10 feet by 25 feet. So I have a pilot batch system here. So what I do is I brew my pilot batch beers here on this, gives me about a half keg of beer. Once I get it to where I want it, I take it up to my brother, give him the recipe, he brews it, and then I get 25 to 30 because he's got a 15-barrel brew house. So another brewery, and I don't know if anybody's heard of Other Half. They moved into Nedlow, the old Nedlow building. And they actually had to buy Young Lion because they can't brew there, because there's no sewer, there's no public sewer there, it's septic. And when you're brewing to the scale that they had wanted to brew there, virtually impossible. It cost them about $300,000 a year to use about a third of their capacity to brew beer. Now, they have a huge brew house there, so it just didn't financially make sense. So they were either gonna move out completely, or they're gonna find a place where they could brew their beer. And that's why they're at Young Lion, so that they can brew their beer, use their equipment, basically. That's there. So the project that I'm introducing to you all right now is, this is not quite labeled right, but where it says kitchen, I already have a kitchen over here, that's brewery. And then this is going to be future brewery. So, and I just haven't got the reps done on these drawings yet, but the idea is to brew my own beer in 3.5 barrels, and that eliminates the fact that I have to get beer from my brother. But it does mean that it's going to cost quite a bit of money in septic pumping. So basically, this is the type of system that I'm going to be putting in. Fermenters, bright tanks, and the brew house. The building is going to be a large windowed building facing 5 and 20. So when you're driving past, you'll be able to see all of the new shiny equipment. And I'll have a cleaning bay and floor drainage and all that other fun stuff. One of the things I'm doing with this Grow Bloomfield committee is we are trying like heck, and you'll probably see me here again. I'm not gonna lie, you'll probably see me here again at some point. Begging for sewer down at Toomey's Corners. But, you know, one of the things that I'm gonna do with this is make it big enough so that I can, when we do achieve that goal of getting sewer down there, I'm gonna be able to increase the size of my brew house, and won't really affect the building in any way, shape, or form, so I don't have to do another addition on top of that. And my brother's done 8 additions up at Three Brothers, and he can tell you. No fun, it's always more expensive, so. So one of the ways that I'm going to be able to offset some of the costs of that septic pumping is to do events and catering. We have, right now I have one of my chefs is from Nolan's, probably one of the best catering chefs in the area. And right now we turn down a lot, and it's frustrating because I'll have family reunions or, you know, just different parties that we can't do. We can do about 40, otherwise we have to send them somewhere else or shut down the whole place, which I can't do. So I think there's a significant opportunity for an event center. Bloomfield, I think, is the type of place that could really use something like this. I could bring in 500 people per weekend throughout the entire summer, and then probably 250 people for those other incremental weeks that I had mentioned during the fall, and even in the winter. So bringing 250 to 500 people every weekend to the town of Bloomfield is going to be not only good for me and help offset some of these costs, but it's going to be great for the outdoors, well, not the outdoors, tea company, Other Half Brewing, a Big M, you know, all the businesses that are there. And also at the same time, I'm gonna be hiring folks to, I mean, if you've ever been to a 200-person wedding, you know that you have a lot of people running to the tables, serving food, kitchen staff. I'm gonna have to have a brewer, an assistant brewer, probably I know I'm gonna have to have an event coordinator. So there's gonna be, definitely gonna be some job, opportunities there as well. So this is kind of what we have envisioned. This is the side that's facing the north. The other side, so what I'm gonna do here is, I'm gonna have, I don't know, it's not an apartment, but it's more of like a Airbnb style area above, which, wedding, if it's a wedding, the bride and groom can come in, they can go right up to the area, with their wedding party, they can look out, do their bustling and have a champagne and look, they can go out onto this balcony and see all of the wedding guests arriving, and then when it's time to, the first time as a husband and wife, here we go, and then they can come right down, and it's something that's kind of unique, and I don't think there's really any, I've done a lot of research on this, I don't think there's any others that really are like this. But the other side of this would be very similar, but that's where the brewery would be, and that's what would be facing the south side, which is 520. 250 guests. Finger Lakes area, I've done my research. One of the things I wanted to do is, I don't know if you've been to the lake house, but it's $50,000 to even sit down and talk about a wedding. I don't want to do that. I want to have something that's a little more affordable for people. And the lake house at charging $50,000, they're sold out for 2 years. Nolan's, the golf course, they're sold out for 2 years. So every wedding venue in this area is pretty much sold out for 2 years. The only reason I really know that is because my daughter is getting married in September, and we've been looking. And we did find a place, and they had a cancellation, so it was amazing. We got in there. It's a big giant barn right here. So these are my drawings. They suck, but I do have better rendering type drawings coming. They're just not done at this point. But this is kind of what I was saying about the inside. This is looking out at that big, vast, open window. So the wedding party could literally just come out here. They can see all their people. They can go back in there. There'll be couches and a fireplace and just a place to unwind and relax. I mean, they got crazy enough, they could even throw their bouquet off that thing. So one of the things that I've decided to do in 2024 was, I'm gonna brew my own beer. Come hell or high water, I'm gonna brew my own beer, and I have to. And I was gonna do this 3 years ago, but COVID hit. So that really threw a wrench in the plans. I've been approached by Penfield. We're gonna go into, we looked at the Daisy Flour Mill and the Clark House. I've been approached by folks in Greece. They wanted me out there. All the places that I've been looking at have sewer. I didn't go there because they didn't have sewer. So Pittsburgh, you know, Rondecoit, Rochester, we had worked with the Monroe County Economic Development prior to COVID, and we were looking at an area down near the public market. And again, COVID kind of messed everything up. So we finally got to the position where we're ready to do this. I am going to do it one way or another, whether it's in Monroe County or whether it's in Bloomfield. Much rather do it in Bloomfield. I like the people, I like the area. I want to do something for the area. I want to make an impact in that town, in the community. So that's kind of where I'm at. You know, I am going to do something. It's just I really much rather do it here in Ontario County, Bloomfield. something they can be proud of and stand on. So, this is a little kind of, I'm just gonna throw you a little curveball here. So this is only phase 2. There is another phase, and that's down the road. We need to have the sewer in place before I can get started with that. But that's basically, my vision was a town within a town, right? So this is the brewery currently. Here's the addition. These are tiny homes, and those are loft-style apartments with retail businesses underneath. So pizza, coffee, sundries, art gallery, whatever. There's no, right now, there isn't anything like this anywhere. Nothing like this anywhere. Ontario County, Monroe County, Gates, there's nothing like this. And what I'd like to do is bring this to Ontario County and make this a destination spot. Again, we can't do this without the public sewer. But I'm hoping that in 3 to 5 years, that's actually gonna happen. So, but you can kind of tell, and again, these are all my terrible drawings, but, you know, just like a little village within a village, right? So if you think of a wedding party of 250 people, your whole wedding party can stay there. You got people that can come from out of town can stay there. Just Canandaigua, if you're coming from Canandaigua and you wanna just peruse this little, quaint little village, you can do it. So that's, I mean, that's pretty much streetlights, retail, kind of boutique-y, but it's just really basically a little town within a town. And that's phase 3. So the only way that I can do this by talking to you guys. So that's pretty much what I'm doing now. Here's my timeline. This might seem ultra super aggressive, but I want to groundbreak by beginning of June. I'd like to open by September. So if anybody has any questions,
Does anybody have any questions?
fire away. I mean, it's not as intricate as the guy before me. I mean, it's not really that crazy.
Yeah, but you're making beers, so.
Exactly, and it's gonna be really good beer, and I do already make good beer, so.
What is the answer?
I guess I'm not 100% clear exactly what you're bringing forward. You started to talk about phase 3, you're requesting a public hearing, but exactly for what? For expansion of sewer, for expansion of your site,
So,
for?
phase 3 is going to be strictly, I can't do that phase 3 until sewer already gets.
So phase 3 is not part of what,
Phase 3 is not
that's
part of
just
it.
a dream right now?
That's just a vision in my head.
Okay.
You know, I'm a dreamer from a long way back. I've been doing it for years. So that is something down the road. When you see me next, I'll probably be in here hawking the sewer. We're gonna try to get sewer down there. After we get the sewer, you'll see me again. We're gonna become good friends. You're gonna see me again for the little tiny houses in the village with it.
Right now, what they're asking for is for the brewery and the event center.
Yeah, it's all gotta start somewhere, and this is, the event center, is really where it's.
So I was gonna just, so the expansion is, does you have to have, modify your liquor license or anything like that? or
Yeah,
is
I do, I am gonna have to modify that.
Is that gonna fall into your time frame as well, do you hope?
Yes.
Okay. Seems like that could be a rocky road sometimes.
It sometimes can be a perilous journey, but, now the way they have things in place is, even if I apply and I don't get that one, in time, they give you, 60-day intermediary. So they keep you going, because they don't want anybody to shut down. It didn't always used to be that way, but it does take, forever, and an arm and a leg.
So you have engineering already looking into
I do,
something?
I
you got
do have
contractors
engineering
selected?
drawings, yep, and they're, unfortunately, they are just not done. They're like a week away from being done. The original, that first one that I showed you was kind of the first go-around at it. And, since then, I've gotten them back, we've done the revisions, gotten them back to him, and he's just dragging his feet a little. Nobody ever moves as fast as I want them.
Any other questions?
You foresee that you can do this expansion without the sewer?
Yes, yep. Absolutely. It's gonna be, there will be more, like I said, I'm probably gonna spend 10 times the amount of money that I spend right now currently, to have my sewer, or my septic, pumped. And I'm gonna be one of A-Verity's best customers, but, just like, just like Other Half Brewing, they did that same thing, but they spent way more than what I would be spending.
Other questions? We're looking for a motion to hold a public hearing.
Make a motion.
Motion from
Second.
Amanda, seconded by Deb. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried.
Thank you so much, appreciate your time.
Thank you.
You ought to get some second. Hook up to our digest.
Did you know that your wedding planning was also a market
Did we
study
ask
for your
about
dad? Did you know that? Did you charge him for it?
That's a whole, a whole nother animal. Two-legged animals, we don't want that anymore.
Take care.
Thank you.
All right, let's get into our old business, Ryan, Governance Committee.
Governance Committee met earlier today, so the timeline will be, staff will put a draft of a new UTEP together with the help of course, Barry and Ed, for them to look at in their April meeting, which is our April meeting. So I suspect you'll see some sort of a draft, if not that night, then the following. We hope to have it ready for everybody to take a look at by June, so we can start the, public hearing notices and put it out there. That pretty much covers everything that we outlined. I'll continue to make reports as needed.
Yep, all right. Sue, board survey.
Thank you to most of you for getting the board survey back. If you have not sent your board survey back and need another copy of it, let Bridget or me know.
Okay, that catches us up on the board survey, outstanding. Minutes from last meeting.
I'll move to accept the minutes.
Motion from Deb,
Second.
seconded by Mark, accept the minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Invoices for payment, Mike and Bob.
For the airport, primary, invoices here for McFarland Johnson and a couple of contractors for the, work relating to the AWAS project and the tree removal. And the contractor for, generators, we're closing that out. Everything's already been submitted for, reimbursement, and I've probably received some.
Yeah, we have received
So
a
there's,
lot.
it's moving pretty quick,
Yeah.
cash flow in there. So if you have the ordinary, other than that is, a DEC permit for the bulk storage tanks for the fuel. Oh, Brian, we're moving towards getting a state pricing on, for both the propane and the diesel we use there, so we're moving forward with that. Not yet, maybe next year.
Keep your fingers crossed.
Okay, Loki Brill is as you recall, that's paid by Loki Brill to monitor their labor usage during while their building's being built. The next one is a plaque that was for Dan Marshall in his retirement. And agency 29, that's 50% of our year-end stuff that is required by
Annual report.
annual reports. So, and finally, the other two are just getting caught up January and February master agreements.
Any questions on those? Take a motion to
So moved.
Brian. Second by Dave.
The bottom here isn't total, it's a lot of asterisks.
Yeah, no, it is.
It ran out of space.
On the other one.
It ran out of space. But the
Then
actually.
maybe we ran out of money?
Yeah, no, no, it's interesting, if you look, I think we're only transferring 15,000, if I recall,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
We
like I
have
said,
money in the
the
airport.
297 and the 70,000 are the two big ones, and we've actually collected the money in advance, so we just got the invoices today, we're in a hurry to pay those. We don't like to collect before we pay, so.
All right, sorry.
Good question. Any other? None, no others? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. And then we all got the airport update and financial statements. Does anybody have any questions on those? If not, we'll just, Bob, is there anything to add? We'll do a motion to accept those.
And the gas is so low? The AV gas?
Just wait, it's, I think it was up from 2023, or down from 2023, but it's 1,000 gallons is about average on
Okay.
gas. It goes, the important one is the jet fuel. It's pretty consistent, if not increasing every year, so. Could be weather, I don't know, can't explain it. Gas, yeah.
Weather's been nice.
Yeah.
Just one question on your notes, when you said you're continuing plans for the upcoming solar eclipse.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, we're working with, primarily the FBO out there to coordinate, they have a reservation system, get people parked and just kind of manage the potential influx of aircraft. I'm working with other airport managers, so we're kind of consistent in our procedures and how we're handling it. But, it's a good weather forecast. We anticipate a lot of airplanes coming.
Gotcha.
You said before the meeting started, he was telling us that Rochester's talking about closing down a runway, just a part. What you said earlier?
Yeah, I think it's already in the works, and that's pretty much a guarantee of, if we get good weather forecasted, I think within a 2 to 3 week time span before the event is when everything's gonna kick into gear.
4-minute event?
Yeah.
3.5, actually,
Yeah. Closer to 3 here.
Just sunset and sunrise, in the middle of the day.
Ken Megway, I believe it's 3 minutes and 23 seconds, but. All right, so any other questions?
The only other question is the bottom note there about the landowner purchasing and collecting the logs. We don't have any concerns with us receiving the money from the feds to pay for the vendor.
We don't like to do it, that's what I'm saying, we wanna get this bill paid as soon as possible. We're supposed to not pay it, we're not supposed to not collect until we paid it.
No, I was more concerned about, wasn't the landowner or the neighboring, didn't he want some of the logs?
Yes.
Is he buying those logs?
No.
Okay.
No, he's gonna take what he wants, and then we're working with another, wood processor who's gonna purchase what's left.
And we can sell them?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering, because we got money to clear the property, we can keep those funds, or do we have to turn them back over?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Oh, no, I don't think there's anything in the project that's written about that. I mean,
We're benefiting from something that somebody else paid for. That's my question.
Check it.
I don't know where there's the issue.
It's the next question.
Yeah, let's look into that, I don't think so.
I'm hoping
I mean,
not. I just wanted to come back.
Right.
These easements that, a lot of it came from, private property that we had easements on. We took those trees and they were paid for those trees years ago.
Yeah.
And the rest were already on airport property.
So they're ours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which, the FAA did pay for the property in a sense, but.
Generally, the contractor would take it.
Yeah,
Most of the time.
and it was offered in the bid, the contractor did take the material in exchange for a reduced price, but
Yep.
they didn't want it, they didn't want the wood, there's not a lot of value in the wood there. One owner just wanted some of the hickory, because he's got to use for some firewood place or cooking place that burns them in their brick oven.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Not, take a motion to accept both those reports.
So moved.
Motion Brian,
Okay.
second by Deb. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, carried. And department update. Be really quick. You, Amanda, and that is it, right? I think everybody else has gotten, this is the draft of the housing commission that has been put before the board of supervisors at the last cycle. They're considering this right now from, admin staff. More to come. I just wanted to share it with all of you, because IDA and EDC are listed as possible members if this becomes a thing. So, we will have a active role with the housing commission in the county if the board of supervisors decides to continue to go this way. More to come on that, I would imagine, next month, right? Probably next month.
Yeah, 1 or 2 cycles to get through.
Other than that, this afternoon, last month, we bought an ad for the Ag Appreciation Dinner. As I had said last month, I will be unable to attend, but we have sent people in the past. Is anybody available to go on March 22nd? If you are and would like seats, I think we can probably do a sign up and then pay for it next month, or do it as a not to exceed number and see if we actually get anybody to go. Does that sound about right to you, Ed?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So let's, if I get signups, we'll buy a table. If I don't, then we won't. Does that make sense to everybody? You probably need that in some sort of a motion, though. Okay, so say that. So some sort of a motion. I can't make.
Or we make a, what is the cost for a table?
They didn't tell me. $35 a person is all I have listed here.
We make a motion to buy tickets that we need, if we have people sign up, not to exceed 10 people at $350. How's that sound?
Motion.
Motion from Dave,
Second.
second by Amanda. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, carried.
I'll follow up with an email to everybody if they're interested, then we'll do it that way. Other than that, it's a great month. Enjoy the nice weather.
Where you going on vacation?
What's that? Where am I going on vacation? The Virgin Islands.
Try not to scream at you.
You're actually Tucson. We're going to the Virgin Islands.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Take your pick, Mark or Dave. All those in favor? Any opposed? Done.
Painless.